Mi-Fei was a humble painter of scrolls. Every morning, he would dip his brushes into the paint and into the different colors, and he would work until sunset. He painted the stories of heroes and their exploits. He painted the gods and their ceremonies. He painted such detailed history that people didn't buy textbooks or books of history. They came to Mi-Fei's studio to buy his scrolls, to learn about their histories. And he loved nothing better than having children come in during the day and watch me. He'd stop his work just to chat with them, or if the elders of the community wanted to come in and talk. But his scrolls were known far and wide as to their gorgeous brilliance and his craftsmanship. But he didn't care about making money from them. He just loved painting these pictures. And one day, as he was in his studio, a messenger from a nearby village came storming down the road and said, "Oh, Sui Zhen, the dragon of Long Mountain, has awakened from his 100-year slumber. His big feet are trampling the rice fields. His terrible fiery breath are burning up all the tea leaves, and his tail is whipping up so much wind that it's felling all the mulberry trees, and the silkworms are dying. Our village is devastated. If somebody here doesn't stop Sui Zhen and put him back in his 100-year slumber, your town, your village will be ruined as well." Who could face the dragon? Everyone in the village turned to Mi-Fei. "Me," he said, "I'm just a humble painter of scrolls. I paint stories about heroes. I paint stories about soldiers and their exploits. But me, I'm no hero." But they said, "You're the only one we think who's wise enough to outsmart Sui Zhen and make him go back to his 100-year slumber." What was he to do? He took his scrolls. He rolled them up for comfort. He looked lovingly at his village and all the townspeople and all the children, thinking that he would never see them again. He put some rice cakes in his sack, and he started making the voyage up Long Mountain to confront Sui Zhen, the fiery dragon. So with his scrolls and his paintbrushes and his inks under his arm, he went up very slowly. At one point, he almost wanted to turn around and go back. His heart was beating so fast. But he realized that he couldn't disappoint the villagers. So he took all his strength, and up that mountain he went. And he could see the fire spew at the top of the mountain. And as he got closer, he saw that large tail with scales wrapped around the mountain. And as he got closer, it got hotter, and the fiery breath of the dragon was there. And as he approached Sui Zhen's head, the dragon opened up one red eye, and with his fiery breath, and said, "Who are you to disturb my sleep?" And he said, I'm just Mi-Fei. I'm a humble painter of scrolls, and I've been sent to ask you to please stop terrorizing our village, to stop trampling the rice fields and burning the tea leaves and uprooting the mulberry trees. The silkworms are dying. We'll have no way to live." He said, "I must do this. I must do this until 3 tasks are accomplished." And he said, "By the way, you tell me, what is the most important thing that your people have invented?" The most precious thing. And without thinking, Mi-Fei said paper, the paper that he loved to draw his beautiful pictures on. "Oh," said Sui Zhen the dragon, "so tomorrow you shall bring me fire in paper, or you shall be my lunch." Mi-Fei went back down the mountain with his scrolls, and he thought, people consult my scrolls to learn about history. Maybe there's something in my scrolls that can reveal the answer to this challenge that the dragon has given me, to capture fire in paper. So he unfurled his scrolls and studied and studied, and he saw the celebration of the first full moon. And he took out his knife and he started to cut the paper. He cut the paper and folded it in a certain way. And before noon the next day, he went up the mountain. He had a stub of a candle. And as soon as Sui Zhen opened his mouth and had his fiery breath, can everybody give me a fiery breath? He stuck the stub of the candle, it lit it, he put it inside the paper, and he created the first lantern. He had indeed captured fire in paper. Now, if dragons could smile, a bit of a smile curled on Sui Zhen's face and said, you have completed the first task. But the next one, what you must do before dinner tomorrow night, or you shall be my dinner, is to capture wind in paper. Well, Sui Zhen went back down the mountain. He took those scrolls again, and he said, they taught me something yesterday. Maybe today I can learn something else. And so he unfurled them. He studied them carefully. And there he saw a princess lying, fainting in the desert, and a nobleman leaning over her, doing something with paper. He took out his knife, he cut the scroll, and he folded it back and forth and back and forth. And he crept up the mountain, and while Sui Zhen was sleeping, he took that piece of paper folded in a very special way and began to wave it in front of its nose, creating a breeze, creating the first. And Sui Zhen opened his eyes and said, "Oh, Mi Fei, you are very clever. You have captured wind in paper with this fan. But I have one more task for you before I have to go back to my slumber. Unless, if you do this, I will still be destroying your villages." He said, "You are to bring me the most powerful, the strongest thing on earth in paper." Mi Fei said, "Why did I say paper? Why didn't I say stone or rock, iron, something? Why? Why did I say paper?" So he said, "Maybe my scrolls will reveal the answer." And he went back the mountain. And he unfurled them. And he studied them. But he couldn't find an answer. Nothing in the scrolls he had painted revealed the answer to this question. So he had a blank scroll. And he said, "I'm just going to paint all of the villagers that I left behind." And he took out his brushes, and beautifully he painted every loving face of the villagers, of the children, of the village, the city, the sky. And he was inspired to write a poem. And in the corner of the scroll he wrote, "Love can move mountains. Love can calm the seas. Love is full of light and life." He rolled it up. He took a red ribbon, he tied it, and the next day he went back to the dragon. And Sui Zhen said, "So have you brought me the most powerful, the strongest thing on earth wrapped in paper?" And Mi Fei said, "All I have done was drawn the faces of the people that I love." And he unfurled it. And as Sui Zhen looked at the faces and looked at the love poured into this beautiful scroll, his fiery breath became a wisp. He began to shrink. He began to get smaller and smaller. And Sui Zhen said, "I see you have. You have captured the most powerful, the strongest thing on earth in paper. You have captured love. And the love you have for all the villagers, all the love that you have poured into this and to your poem, that love will move mountains, that is enough to satisfy me and to make me go back to my 100-year slumber." And the dragon got smaller and smaller and smaller until, when Mi Fei looked down, he picked up a paper dragon. And he decided from that day forward, whenever he painted a scroll, in the corner of a scroll, he would paint a paper dragon to remind everyone who looked at it and himself what the strongest and most powerful thing in the world is: love.